Tonight on CTV News at 6, Samuel Bird has been found. A murder charge laid as a family search ends. Striking teachers take to the streets.
It's really hard not being with our students. It's hard going without pay.
And
he loved sports. He loved to help people.
Remembering a man who left his mark on Edmonton.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Jeff Hastings.
Good evening. The search for Samuel Bird is over. Police say they found the teen's remains in a wooded area outside Edmonton and charged a man with second-degree murder in Bird's death. Jeremy Thompson joins us now live in studio with more. And Jeremy, this is the end of a months-long effort by family and police to find Bird.
Yeah, Jeff, it's been more than 4 months since 14-year-old Samuel Bird disappeared. Since then, missing posters have gone up across the city, and there's been a major effort to search for the Indigenous teen by his family, their supporters, and police. Bird was last seen in West Edmonton on June 1st at a house near 150th Street and 106th Avenue. A fire broke out at that same house at the end of September. A couple of days later, on October 1st, police said they believed Bird was dead. Last week, EPS said officers were searching for his remains in the Carrot Creek region west of Edmonton. Today, they found his body and charged 38-year-old Brian Farrell with second-degree murder and 13 other charges, including assault, arson, and fraud. Police believe Bird was killed June 1st, the day he was last seen. Bird's mother, Alana, who's been the family spokesperson through the ordeal, thanked police in a social media post, adding, "I want to thank every single person who donated in hopes of finding my boy. Without all the help, we couldn't have kept this search going. I want to say thank you to those who kept me sane since June 1st. The lead investigator on Bird's file says it was a long and complex investigation, and he hopes this resolution will bring a measure of justice to family and friends. Jeff, police are not looking for any other suspects.
All right, Jeremy, thank you. That's Jeremy Thompson live for us tonight. Thousands of teachers and supporters came together in downtown Edmonton today to march in support of public education. Teachers have been on strike since last Monday. CTV's Gates Guarin has more from the rally.
Thousands of people showed up downtown to support public education and to send a message to Premier Danielle Smith, who was speaking at a luncheon inside Ford Hall.
We need more funding. We need class cap sizes now. This is what we're here for. It's not for me. It's not for my money. It's for our kids and our future.
The rally comes as the teacher strike nears the end of its second week. Bargaining between the teachers' union and the province has stalled. Teachers here say the government needs to address classroom size caps and complex needs supports.
I teach grade 4. 2 years ago, I had 37 grade 4s in my class, 10 kids with special needs in the same class, and no full-time support for that.
High school social, I have classes of 38, 37, 36.
Teachers we spoke with say it's tough being away from their classrooms, but many here hope the strike will end up helping students.
It's really hard not being with our students. It's hard going without pay. I'm from a 2-teacher family. But at the same time, I feel like we've been able to take this time for public to understand what is happening in education in this province.
I am not a teacher at all, and I think it's just important that Edmontonians and Albertans come out and show our support for educators and public education in this province.
Finance Minister Nate Horner has said back-to-work legislation is an option should the strike continue. But teachers are pushing forward.
We're going to keep going.
And are showing no signs of slowing down. Gates Guarin, CTV News, Edmonton.
As protesters filled the streets around Rogers Place, Premier Danielle Smith was inside speaking to business leaders. Over yells and honking from outside, the Premier advocated for private investment. Edmonton's Chamber of Commerce says despite the extra noise, the event's message was clearly heard. CTV's Connor Hogg has more.
While protesters rallied outside Rogers Place, lunch was being served inside to members of Alberta's business community as Edmonton's Chamber of Commerce hosted Premier Danielle Smith for her State of the Province address.
Government can only help to create the conditions for the private sector's success. Edmonton's Chamber of Commerce is vital in taking it from there.
Smith touched on a number of topics, including her push for federal approval of pipeline projects.
We're building the pipeline ourselves. We are simply doing doing everything we can to launch it and to ensure that it is added to Ottawa's list of nation-building projects.
She also spoke about youth unemployment, improving export chains, and tackling crime. Yelling and honking from the crowd outside, audible to those gathered in Ford Hall. Chamber of Commerce President Doug Griffiths acknowledged the impact the teachers' strike is having on businesses, as some workers stay home to take care of their kids. Still, he says protests will not overshadow the Chamber's event.
Labor disputes happen regularly. Investors are going to be looking for competitive tax rates, a good labor force, and they're not making an investment on what they see in the next 2 days for a protest. They're looking on what they see for the next 10 years.
Smith also acknowledged the strike throughout, speculating that diploma exams may need to be adjusted if the job action continues for too much longer. When pressed whether protests were sending a message to economic investors, she responded by saying she hopes for a quick resolution.
It's important for families as well to be able to have the things return to normal for their kids. So that's what we're all working towards. I hope we get there very soon.
The protests dispersed as the city's business community returned to the office. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
The minister in charge of Prairie's Economic Development Canada says Ottawa will consider all potential nation-building projects, including Alberta's pipeline proposal.
As a proud Albertan, I can certainly say that Alberta is entitled as any other proponent, to put forward a plan for a project that it feels should be considered as a project of national interest. Whatever Alberta puts forward will go through the same analysis, the same criteria as other proponents.
Edmonton MP Eleanor Olszewski says as of now, the details of any specific pipeline project are currently unknown. She acknowledged Premier Danielle Smith's plan to spend $14 million on the initial planning stages for a bitumen pipeline to BC. As far as whether Ottawa would step in to resolve the dispute between the province's premiers over a potential pipeline, Olszewski says anything is possible. She hopes that something can be worked out that's to the advantage of both provinces. Traffic on a portion of the Yellowhead west of Edmonton is being diverted because of a damaged overpass caused by a semi hauling an excavator. This happened just after 10 this morning at the turnoff to the Wabamun town site. RCMP say a large piece of the overpass fell onto Highway 16. The overpass is closed and eastbound traffic on the highway is being redirected. RCMP say an engineer will assess the structural integrity of the bridge. Police are reminding drivers to measure twice, haul once.
We've had a lot of these bridge strikes in the recent time around Edmonton. It damages critical infrastructure. It closes down these really important transportation routes for significant periods of time. It's really important that truck drivers do that pre-inspection of their vehicle and of their loads that they're carrying.
RCMP say Alberta transportation officers will help determine appropriate charges. An Edmonton businessman is being remembered for his philanthropy. Bruce Savile died earlier this week. As CTV's Narman Issa reports, he became a household name with hockey fans in the 90s when he helped buy the Edmonton Oilers to keep them from leaving town.
He loved sports. He loved to help people.
Bruce Savile's widow describes her late husband as someone who's always willing to help anyone. They met when he sponsored her curling team.
I thought I knew who this person might be, but the person I saw wasn't anything like it, so I was kind of taken aback when I go, oh.
He gave both his time and money to local charities and sports teams.
I owe a lot to this community. This is where I've had my success.
In 1998, he joined the Edmonton Investors Group to buy the Edmonton Oilers to keep them from moving to Houston.
I was in a financial position to make the contribution or the investment that I did, and so I did.
He was a goalie for 57 years. That was his love. And I think when you look at someone that is wealthy enough to help out and to save a major team in a city, that was important to him.
Savile had many Oilers rookies live with him, including Leon Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse, and Ales Hemsky.
Ales is close to my heart. He's not an Oiler anymore, but we've been texting back and forth. He's crushed. He's crushed. Bruce was like a father to him.
One of his projects he was most passionate about was trying to eliminate homelessness. His friend recalls the time he raised money and awareness for homeless teens.
And he arrived with a piece of cardboard, and he said, I'm going to sleep on the cardboard. I said, well, we got tents, we got sleeping bags. No, he said, I want to experience what they experience. So, there was one of the richest guys in town laying on a piece of cardboard at the Old Muni.
Savile died on Monday from a heart attack while in hospital. His widow says it's going to be tough to live without him.
What can I say? He was the love of my life.
Bruce Savile was 80 years old. Naram Nisa, CTV News, Edmonton.
3 Edmontonians are among those receiving awards for contributions to their communities. 3 men will be given Alberta's Orders of Excellence tonight from the Lieutenant Governor. Sign Chatty is a philanthropist and former Alberta MLA. John Day has held leadership roles and worked to preserve Edmonton's architectural heritage. And Doug Stollery is a prominent lawyer who helped secure charter protections for LGBTQ2S+ Canadians. All right, time for our first check on weather. Now, Josh is at the Mighty Millions Lottery Grand Prize Showhome in Cameron Heights. I see you have a friend, Josh.
I do. I have the lovely Luna, the Mighty Luna. Do you like that when people call you the Mighty Luna?
It sounds kind of weird.
It sounds kind of, you're right. It's probably the way I said it, too, with that tone of voice. Luna knows a lot about the Stollery. You've been in and out of the Stollery since you were born. How often do you go to the Stollery now?
Like every few months or so.
Yeah. So if anyone were to ask, hey, what's the quality of care like? How are the doctors and nurses at the... did you just give the camera a little... I can do that too. How are the doctors and nurses at the Stollery?
They're really nice.
Yeah. They don't make you do that face. Hey, they don't go. No, yeah, they put smiles on your face. In fact, I was talking to your mom, and she was saying you guys had moved to BC, and then the quality of care here at the Stollery was just so far superior that you guys actually moved back. You would agree with that?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why we moved back.
Yeah. Okay, so if people were debating whether or not they should support the Stollery and buy tickets in the Mighty Millions Lottery, what would you say to those people?
That they should, because it helps, like, kids.
Kids like you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your outcomes could be a whole lot worse if you didn't have the great doctors and nurses that they have at the Stollery. It's a world-class facility, right? And they also, I heard that perhaps some of the doctors and nurses there at the Stollery do this. Is that... No, only you do that. Only you do that. All right. Luna, do you want to help me quickly do a little bit of weather?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's take a look at temperatures around the Edmonton area, because it was really warm today. Got up to 19 degrees for a daytime high. What's our temperature right now in Edmonton, Luna?
16 degrees.
16 degrees. It is still really warm. You see that green on there? Do you know what that green is?
It's rain.
It is rain. You're trying to take my job, aren't you, Luna? It looks like it's kind of falling apart just west of Edmonton, but there is a slight chance that we could see a shower here early this evening, and then tomorrow, 12 degrees and windy in the afternoon. That's still not bad, though, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 degrees for middle of October is great. Hey, you know what else would be great? A trip to Paris and a brand new Porsche. Would you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all would like that. The early bird prize deadline is midnight tomorrow. You got to go to mightymillionslottery.com. You could win the brand new Porsche and the trip to Paris, or take $200,000 cash. And I was just telling Luna, I get to spend the night in this house tonight. It's a Stollery sleepover. So if you text the word mighty to 10400, you could win $1,000 just because they're letting me sleep over. That's a pretty sweet deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have a phone, but your mom has a phone. So tell her to text 10400, the word mighty, to 10400, and she could win $1,000. Would that be good?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Very quickly, you're a big Blue Jays fan. Are they going to win tonight?
Yeah.
Yes. Are they going to the World Series, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Luna calls it. She predicts Blue Jays in the World Series, and she also predicts that you should get your tickets at mightymillionslottery.com before midnight tomorrow to get in on the early bird prize. Great job, Luna.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Josh, and thank you, Luna. Still ahead on CTV News at 6, more support for diabetics.
We have lots of patients already coming through, and they're very excited and happy about this.
How a new hub will help alleviate pressure on hospitals, and...
I don't want to risk not getting the cat that I have back.
An Alberta pet owner receives an order from the Humane Society after not signing off on what he thinks is a risky surgery for his elderly cat.
Friday on Your Morning Edmonton, a last look at the campaign before Edmontonians head to the polls. Plus, Canadian cartels. The RCMP says 7 are active in Canada. What that means for security in this country.
H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
Diabetics in our city now have a new place to go for help. Covenant Health has opened its new Community Wellness Centre in Southeast Edmonton. It says it will give people in need care while alleviating pressure on hospitals. CTV's Evan Kenny has more.
Trying to be positive, and that's all that matters.
Sydney Hewitt's life took a turn after being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes this summer.
I was a little overwhelmed, and I remember the amount of emotion that I had at that moment was almost too much to bear.
Between insulin shots and blood sugar tests, she had a lot of questions.
I was crying quite a bit because I didn't know too much about diabetes.
Now there's a center to fill those gaps and help diabetics like her.
We have lots of patients already coming through, and they're very excited and happy about this.
Covenant Health's Community Wellness Hub offers diabetes care and cardiac rehabilitation, services that were originally offered at the nearby Grey Nuns Hospital.
This means that people who need to be seen right away in the ER will have space there, and people who have less urgent needs can be seen right here in the Community Health Centre in Lakewood.
Diabetes Canada says more than 500,000 Albertans have diabetes, and that number could nearly double in the next 10 years.
The new primary care centre will help us see more and more people in the community,
giving diabetics like Hewitt confidence.
I think that it'll make them feel a little bit more supported and feel like they're not alone.
Parts of the hub opened at the end of September, while the Centre for Diabetes Care started seeing patients last week. Phase 2 of the Covenant Wellness Community will include a residential building and a seniors continuing care centre. Evan Kenny, CTV News, Edmonton.
Provincial health ministers from across the country are meeting in Alberta. The ministers are discussing doctor shortages, improved training for healthcare workers, and sharing resources across provincial boundaries. Alberta's health minister says this meeting will help when making the case for more healthcare funding.
Well, I'm hearing from my counterparts that we have many successes across the provinces. We've all removed barriers within our own provinces and territories, but we are seeing that we have federal challenges that we have to deal with as well.
Tomorrow, the federal minister of health will join the summit. A Calgary cat owner says he's facing a dilemma, a pricey dental surgery for his elderly pet or else surrender it. The Calgary Humane Society is demanding he take medical action or face possible charges and fines. CTV's Tyson Fedora reports, as CTV's Tyson Fedora reports, the owner believes it is a risky surgery.
Leo, the 15-year-old tabby cat, loves to climb, eat, and play. But in July, his owner, Adam Nixon, noticed a mass growing under his chin one day after work. He rushed Leo to the VCA Marlborough Animal Hospital. The exam and medications costing $288.
Wanted some antibiotics for the cat and some painkillers, and then also recommended dental treatment.
But the dental treatment soon went from recommendation to mandated, and the fee about $1,500, money Nixon says he does not have. And the worries about anesthetic in such an old cat. Still, Nixon shopped around the procedure at other clinics, offering a slightly cheaper rate.
I got 2 vets that told me normally this is an optional treatment, but because the Humane Society is involved, it's not optional anymore.
The Calgary Humane Society says it's investigating following a complaint from the vet, but would not comment on the specifics of this case. The clinic acknowledged it alerted CHS, but would not answer any questions.
We don't want to seize animals and fill this shelter with them. There is an obligation to report on behalf of veterinarians as well, and so we do get a fair number of those calls. We are duty-bound to investigate.
Last week, Nixon was greeted by peace officers at his house who issued him a compliance order, demanding he complete the dental work by October 22nd.
It's an informal document that really just lays out what we've told them verbally. And so it is most easy for us when we already have direction from a veterinarian who has reported a concern of veterinary noncompliance.
I'm trying to weigh the risks of putting him through serious surgery, the recovery of that, potential complications therein, versus just letting him live out a normal life.
If Nixon fails to comply, he could face up to a $20,000 fine and a lifetime ban on owning animals if convicted.
I know there's some people out there that are going to say, just do the surgery. And if I had some indication that he was in pain, that he needed this, it wouldn't be a question in my mind.
Tyson Fedor, CTV News, Calgary.
Coming up, plotting your trick-or-treat path.
My sister is celiac and I'm also autistic, so I just think it's important.
How to find accessible and allergy-friendly trick-or-treating locations across St. Albert. Stay with us.
It was a beautiful 19 degrees today, but it is going to get a little cooler as we head into tomorrow and the weekend. It'll almost make you go... It's not going to be that cold, dude. Full look at your forecast right after the break.
Programming brought to you by Century Casino. 3 great locations: Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile. To you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
The City of St. Albert has created an interactive Halloween map for families. It shows homes that are going out of their way to make trick-or-treating a little easier for kids with allergies and disabilities. CTV's Amanda Anderson reports.
And this particular home is allergy-free.
The type of information parents of kids with disabilities now have at their fingertips. The City of St. Albert offers an interactive map showing homes that plan to be allergy-friendly, accessible, or both on Halloween.
People have been excited that St. Albert is trying to be a more inclusive community and allowing kids that have these challenges an opportunity for them to trick-or-treat in a more traditional sense.
I think it's kind of overdue, but I'm happy that it's here, and yeah, I hope it gives kids and families who have disabilities more of an opportunity to feel more included.
Kimberly Atkins has her home listed on the map. She plans to hand out treats from the end of her driveway.
I'm going to have like small pencils and things like that, and more like allergy-friendly treats. I have food allergies. My sister is celiac, and I'm also autistic, so I just think it's important. It's just kind of part of who I am, and yeah, we just support our community.
The idea for the map came after the city hosted its first Treat Accessibly Halloween Village, a daytime event that brings treats to the curb, removing barriers for trick-or-treaters.
The St. Albert Halloween Village has kind of put that thought into people's head about, hey, it's not actually that hard to take my trick-or-treating table or bowl down to the street.
More and more of these signs are also popping up in neighborhoods. People can pick them up free of charge from Pet Value locations across the country.
We've had a lot of people coming in our doors specifically for the signs only, and then also adding it to a lot of our customers' baskets because they didn't know it existed until they came in our doors.
It updates in real time.
About 50 homes registered on the map last year, a number the city hopes will grow as Halloween night approaches. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, St. Albert.
All right, Josh, that was a beautiful day for a drive to Cameron Heights.
Oh, it's spectacular. I mean, even once the cloud cover rolled in, we still had temperatures holding up in the mid to high teens. We exceeded expectation. We thought 16 or 17 for a daytime high. We got to 19 for a high earlier in the day today. Of course, the reason we're out in Cameron Heights is we're at the Mighty Millions Lottery Grand Prize Home. This could be yours. It's just over 5,800 square feet, valued at $2.5 million, the entire prize package. And if you follow us on social media, we will show you some tours of this through this evening, as it is a Stollery sleepover night. Not only a Stollery sleepover night, but it's the night before the Porsche Paris Early Bird Prize deadline. You can win a brand new Porsche and a luxurious 7-day trip to Paris, or $200,000 cash, but you have to get your tickets before midnight tomorrow. Go to MightyMillionsLottery.com. Cloudy skies as you look through the Action Furnace River Valley Skycam. Action Furnace, fixed rider, it's free. We're at 16 degrees after that high of 19 earlier today. 15 in Grand Prairie and 16 in Fort McMurray. Got up to 18 in Red Deer this afternoon. There's the cloud cover and the showers that are swiping their way west to east across the province. You'll notice it's kind of breaking down just west of Edmonton. So we do still have some rain north of the city. There's another little pocket there between Whitecourt and just west of Drayton Valley that might come through later on tonight. But it's not a guarantee that we'll see rain tonight. It's about a 60% chance of some showers early to mid-evening. And then overnight tonight, east central Alberta and northern Alberta get some shower activity. A little bit of a cooler northwesterly flow on the backside of that system for tomorrow. Will push temperatures back into the 12 or 13 degree range for the next couple of days. And the wind will pick up. So it's warmer outside right now than it will be at any point tomorrow. We're at 16 degrees in Edmonton, 12s and 13s. Fort McMurray, Cold Lake, Grand Prairie, and Red Deer. A little cooler there in Lloydminster at 9 degrees. We'll be in that 9-degree range by midnight tonight here in the city. There's your chance of a scattered shower early to mid-evening, and then 3 degrees tomorrow morning. So we've had some frosty mornings the last few days. I don't think you'll be scraping your windshield tomorrow morning, though. 12 degrees and gusty tomorrow afternoon. Looks like gusts should be about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. Highs of around 13 for Saturday, Sunday. Chance of some late day showers Sunday, and then a brief cool down Monday, Tuesday as we're back into the 9 or 10 degree range. But look at the end of next week. Mid-teens return for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Because it's a Stollery sleepover, you could win $1,000 cash. All you have to do is text the word MIGHTY to 10400. And again, early bird prize deadline, midnight tomorrow. Go to mightymillionslottery.com. 50-50, add on that as well. Almost $1.3 million in the 50-50. Looking forward to spending the night in this house, Jeff. And even with the cool down the next couple of days, still slightly above average.
All right, thanks, Josh. Sleep well. Still ahead, tougher on crime.
It will be up to the accused to prove to the court why they can be trusted to be released.
Ottawa targets repeat and violent offenders also.
Last night they just came out and they suddenly looked like the Jays again. So I was a little worried, I gotta say, but they turned it around.
Blue Jays fans believe as the team rallies for a playoff comeback in Seattle. The Liberal government is planning to introduce a bill to crack down on violent and repeat offenders. Edmonton MP Eleanor Olszewski says she thinks the impact of the bill will be felt in Alberta's big cities.
People are afraid. They're afraid to go to the public library. They're afraid to get on public transit. They're afraid to go downtown. They're afraid to go to a community park in their neighborhood. And so we really do need to take some steps to make sure that, that the public has faith in the justice system.
Olszewski says the new bill fulfills a campaign promise from Prime Minister Mark Carney and involved consultations with provinces, justice officials, police, and social assistance organizations. As CTV's Rachel Aiello reports, the plan is significant both from a policy perspective and politically.
The federal government says a crackdown on repeat violent offenders is coming.
It will no longer be up to the Crown to prove why someone should stay behind bars. It will be up to the accused to prove to the court why they can be trusted to be released.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says next week the Liberals will introduce long-awaited bail reform legislation to keep those accused of serious crimes out of the community. The new bill will also amend the criminal code to allow consecutive sentencing for those convicted of multiple crimes, end conditional sentences for a series of sexual offenses, and impose tougher penalties for organized retail thefts. These amendments are aimed at addressing headline-making crimes, including the surge in some cities of brazen smash-and-grab robberies. But they're getting mixed reviews from criminal defense lawyers.
And I think it's a measured approach. But at the end of the day, they just send a message because it don't really change that much, I have to say. But it sends the message that there is public concern.
I think it may work to curb that type of behavior, but I also think it is a ton of lip service.
These measures come after concerted pressure from premiers, police forces, and opposition parties.
And yet Mark Carney has done absolutely nothing to reverse the Liberal laws that caused this chaos and carnage.
Today, Carney also announced a nearly $2 billion funding boost for the RCMP. Coming in the next budget, the money will go towards hiring 1,000 new officers, increasing the cadet recruitment allowance, and dedicating more personnel to probing financial crimes.
The devil is in the details. We're going to take a look at what comes out next week, but we're happy to see that we were listened to and some of the things we advocated for were included.
Carney is set to continue his pre-budget pre-positioning tomorrow. The Prime Minister has plans to make what he called an important announcement on border security. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
One of the hockey players found not guilty in a high-profile sexual assault trial in London, Ontario, is returning to the NHL. Goalie Carter Hart last played for Philadelphia. He's now joining the Vegas Golden Knights. He'll be eligible to play his first game after December the 1st. Hart and 4 other members of Canada's 2018 World Junior team were accused of sexually assaulting a woman 7 years ago. In July, they were acquitted. Hart is the first to land an NHL contract. 2 others are playing in Europe and Russia. Hart is from Sherwood Park. Days after car company Stellantis announced it's moving production from its Brampton, Ontario plant to the U.S., we're getting more insight into the discussions between the federal government and the car company. The Prime Minister says he received assurances that the Canadian plant will not be abandoned. Michael Couture has more from Ottawa.
They're looking at different model being produced in Brampton.
That assurance came in a phone call the Prime Minister had 2 days before the company announced it was moving $13 billion in investment to the U.S. Mark Carney also reminded the global CEO that Stellantis committed to maintaining its full Canadian footprint in Brampton in exchange for federal and provincial money.
We need to be strong in terms of making sure that companies that have done well by virtue of the various subsidies or initiatives that have been made meet their obligations.
It comes as Ontario's Premier has implored the federal government to hit back on American trade policies that Doug Ford says pave the way for Stellantis to move production.
There's times to hit back and there's times to talk, and right now is the time to talk.
Prime Minister.
That restraint could be tied to a bigger calculation on Canada-U.S. relations.
This is China versus the world.
The American Treasury Secretary is calling on Western allies like Canada to back the U.S. in the trade war with China.
We're going to have a fulsome group response to this because bureaucrats in China cannot manage the supply chain or the manufacturing process for the rest of the world.
That comes after China's ambassador to Canada told CTV's Question Period that if Canada removes its 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, China would remove tariffs on Canadian products like canola.
It's not that simple. Nor is the relationship in the auto sector that simple as just open a door here with China with no impact on the relationship with the United States and the impact on activity here in Canada.
In the middle of all this, plans are underway for Carney to meet with President Xi Jinping at the end of the month on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Blue Jays fans have new hope after a dominant performance by the team in Seattle Wednesday. A convincing win giving the Jays a chance to even the American League Championship Series tonight. CTV's Andrew Johnson reports.
One for Canada!
At Seattle's famous Pike Place Fish Market, the atmosphere ahead of ALCS Game 4 is something else.
I think it's pretty electric right now.
Jays fans who made the trip to Washington State are on a high, with the team no longer seemingly swimming upstream.
That was absolutely incredible. And last night they just came out and they suddenly looked like the Jays again. So I was a little worried, I gotta say, but they turned it around.
Turned it around is maybe an understatement to describe the Jays' offensive explosion, fueled by 5 home runs and, after a shaky start, a shutdown performance from pitcher Shane Bieber.
It was fantastic. The energy was great, and there was about 50% Jays fans, it seems. So there was a pretty big Canadian component.
Thousands in the stands again tonight at T-Mobile Park will be Canadians who flew, drove, and ferried across the line to show their passion in person. And the seats don't come cheap.
We pulled them out of school, and they ended up being about $500 Canadian a pop, but it...
Totally worth it. Totally worth it for that experience. So we do it again in a heartbeat.
Come try the smoked Blue Jay, sir.
Now, a chance for Canada's team to bring the series back to Toronto. With a win tonight or tomorrow, the Jays will guarantee this series goes at least 6 games and returns to Rogers Centre, where they could secure a World Series berth at home. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Seattle.
MGK is slated to take the stage for the 112th Grey Cup halftime show.
Tell me what you wait for me.
Canadian alt-rock group Our Lady Peace is also scheduled to perform during this year's Grey Cup festivities between November 10th and 16th. The Grey Cup kicks off November the 16th in Winnipeg. Legendary Kiss guitarist Ace Frehley has died at the age of 74. The wild spaceman and co-founder of the rock group was injured in a fall last month in his studio. This month, he pulled out of remaining dates on his calendar due to medical issues. Frehley wrote a series of songs for Kiss, including Shock Me and Talk to Me. He played on 9 studio albums and 2 live albums. Still ahead, a fight for accountability.
I don't know why the Canadian taxpayer is paying for that agency. I'm not sure who they're protecting.
A family criticizes Canada's airline watchdog after a baby is separated from her parents on an Air Canada flight. And there's a live look. The sunset, downtown Edmonton, the sun setting earlier and earlier these days, which must mean that hockey season is here. The Oilers not in Rogers Place tonight. They're actually in Long Island playing the Islanders. Stay with us. Checking on the markets, the Canadian dollar traded for 71 cents U.S. Oil down 85 cents, closing the day at $56.99 a barrel. Gold gained $103. The TSX and Dow Jones both ended the day lower, down 178 points and 301 points. Canada Post says it will protect rural mail delivery as it moves ahead with major operational changes to cope with a worsening financial picture. On September 25th, the federal procurement minister, Joel Lightbound, gave the Crown Corporation 45 days to come up with a plan to get its business back on track. He also approved changes to the Postal Service's mandate, including phasing out door-to-door delivery for homes still receiving it. Canada Post today said it will ensure that vital postal services for rural, remote, and Indigenous communities will be protected. It also pledged to be fair and respectful to employees as changes are rolled out. 55,000 unionized postal workers walked off the job in late September to protest the changes. Mail is moving again as they're now on a rotating strike. A Canadian family is sharing its frustration with Air Canada and the Canadian Transportation Agency. It all stems from a flight where Air Canada assigned their 18-month-old to a seat several rows away from her closest parent, despite advance payment for the seat selection. CTV's Adrian Goldriel has more on the fight for air passenger rights.
A sun-kissed Florida vacation ended in a cloud of uncertainty. The McLaughlin family's journey home to Toronto began with a 5-hour flight delay. Then the family of 4 learned that their 18-month-old daughter, Margaret, who they call Molly for short, had been placed on standby.
I said, how could she be on standby?
Eventually given a ticket, the McLaughlins then realized their toddler had been assigned to a seat all by herself, more than 6 rows away from her closest parent. Greg McLaughlin claims Air Canada flight attendants then refused to ask customers to switch seats, leaving the family to figure it out with passengers on their own.
You are a very large company that operates airplanes. You should know that children are on the plane, and you should make sure that they are safe, full stop.
Regulations state that children under 5 should be in a seat adjacent to their parent.
Hello, Greg. This is Amanda from the Canadian Transportation Agency.
Following a months-long investigation by the Canadian Transportation Agency, the CTA left this voicemail for the family last week.
We want to inform you that the investigation has now concluded and no enforcement action will be taken at this time.
I don't know why the Canadian taxpayer is paying for that agency. I'm not sure who they're protecting.
The maximum fine Air Canada could have received is $25,000. Consumer advocates believe the lack of action highlights a systemic issue.
The Canadian Transportation Agency and the government are serving the airline's private, financial, corporate interest instead of the public interest of passengers.
In an email, the CTA say their investigation found that the infant was seated with her family for flight AC 1659 and that no infraction to the regulations was found. According to her father, the only reason Molly ended up seated with her family was because her parents and passengers fixed the issue, while Air Canada staff refused to help. An email from Air Canada in part states that the airline has since taken measures to reinforce compliance through improved seat assignment technology. Air Canada eventually offered the family vouchers for future travel. The McLaughlins have declined. For the family, they say this was never about receiving compensation. They never asked for vouchers. They simply wanted Air Canada to be held accountable. In their case, they believe that's something the Canadian Transportation Agency has failed to do. Adrian Gobro, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
2 orphaned grizzly cubs will now stay at the Calgary Zoo permanently. The cubs were brought to the zoo last month after their mother was killed in a human encounter near Diamond Valley. The Wilder Institute says they would have died in the wild because they're so young and dependent on their mother. The zoo says they're adapting well and slowly building trust with their new caregivers. The cubs have not been named yet. Still ahead, an exhibition featuring a famous street artist makes its way to Edmonton.
I think the fascinating thing about him is that he paints and creates such a political statements, but nobody knows who's behind this.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here on CTV, starting at 7 with E-Talk. Programming brought to you by Southview Acura. For family-owned, award-winning excellence, Southview Acura, where luxury meets reality.
Alberta has a new artist in residence, and he'll be taking his show on the road.
You know, time is money. It don't grow on trees. Are you listening to me?
Juno nominee John Wirt-Hannum will be the artist in residence until September of next year. His residency project is called Everyone Has a Story. Wirt-Hannum will visit 10 rural, remote, and inner-city communities across Alberta in the next year and host songwriting workshops. The residency comes with a grant for up to $50,000. An exhibition displaying the works of one of the most influential street artists has arrived in Edmonton. Miriam Valdez-Carletti has a preview of what you'll see and experience.
Inside Edmonton City Centre is a small glimpse into the world of anonymous British artist Banksy.
I think the fascinating thing about him is that he paints and creates such a political statements, but nobody knows who's behind this.
His submersive anti-capitalist street art famously uses dark humor of stencil drawings. People might not know what he looks like, but his art speaks for himself.
We weren't super familiar, but the more we go through the exhibit, his work is obviously known worldwide. He becomes a lot more familiar as you go through the exhibits.
Like, I knew about Banksy and that he did like a lot of graffiti art, but then I didn't realize that it was like almost like an activist too.
Organizers say this is a rare experience Edmontonians should take advantage of.
For me, I feel like we're exposing people to art who don't have the opportunity to be exposed by the art or go to Europe to see the actual buildings where he painted on.
I've always loved Banksy's work, and I've seen a couple of pieces in the wild as well, so I was like really excited that something like this was coming to Edmonton.
The collection features original pieces and certified replicas of paintings and statues. His work offering people a taste of political and social commentary.
I love the political elements to it. Kind of makes people think a little bit more about what they're seeing and about political climate.
Including his take on working from home during the pandemic and other themes. The conversations that sprout from his graffiti show the power that can come from a paint can.
Art is like a personal expression of what you feel the artist was trying to portray to you.
A t-shirt spray painting station will see proceeds go to the Edmonton Bissell Centre. The exhibition runs until January. Miriam Valdez-Carletti, CTV News, Edmonton.
That is our show. Thank you very much for sharing your time with us. For news anytime, visit ctvnewsedmonton.ca or the CTV channel on YouTube.